Hey, welcome to Broken World Entertainment and our non-spoiler review for episode 9 of Monarch, which then I believe there is one more episode to come out, which obviously will be next week. This by far is the best episode we've had so far. Not just do we get a lot of information about the Hollow Earth, but we also get some more character development and a lot of interesting things as well. So to start with, we start off the episode in 1962. That's the date we're at. Bill and Shaw are getting ready to launch Operation Hourglass. This is what you saw in the trailer back when the trailer dropped, where it looked like they were going to space. They were in like the spacesuit stuff. They're not going to space. That is them about to get dropped into the Hollow Earth. Not Bill, Shaw and 3 other people are about to go down to the Hollow Earth. I may as well go through all I'll go through most of the flashback stuff. So they're getting ready. Shaw leaves a young thing. I can't remember what his bloody name is now. Horatio? No, not Horatio. That's bleeding CSI. The father of Contardo and Kate, whose name I just completely forgot. If it comes back to me, I'll say it. But when he's a kid, Bill's explained to the kid he's got to go to work, that the grandmother is going to stay with him. The kid asks, where's Uncle Lee going? He says he'll let him explain that, so he does. And he's kind of saying, I have to go off to help try and protect the world and stuff. And he leaves him his knife, his lucky knife, and tells him, like, you're too young to keep it. I'm not giving it to you. I just want you to hold on to it till I come back. So they get, and this is the cool part, because they explain how possibly in the last episode May, Kate and Shaw would have survived going into the Hollow Earth, because a lot of people were questioning that. When it came to Godzilla vs. Kong, the explanation was the gravitational pull and stuff was far too strong that you couldn't survive going through it. So how could they possibly survive falling into it? I had a theory, which was if you went through with a Titan, you might be fine. That's exactly the case. They use that gamma ray collar thing to summons a Titan. Dr. Suzuki, his name was Suzuki, found one of the portals, as they're calling them, in the heart of Kansas, I believe it was. And they used the gamma ray calling thing to summon a Titan. So they've realized that when a Titan comes through, there's enough time for you to ride through the tear it causes in those portals, so you can get through. So that's exactly what they do. However, what happens they didn't expect, and they don't know what happened, is that when they go through, or at least when they're in the process of going through, on the surface, it's like when Shaw sets the bombs off around, everything starts getting sucked down into it. So they think that Shaw and the other 3 people are dead. They think the mission was a failure. Puckett was there with all the Department of Justice and Defense and stuff, because they're all there seeing what the funding is going to with Monarch. And Puckett says that the space mission to the moon landing, is 2 years away, and says Kennedy can have space and all the rocks floating in it. We're gonna have the underspace. So they didn't call it the Hollow Earth, they called it underspace. But they think the mission is a failure. In the present, we have Shaw waking up in a forest in the Hollow Earth. Obviously, he's looking for Kate, he's calling for Kate, he finds May, but the ground starts charging up, and he grabs May and tells her to run, and all these electrical bursts come out of the ground. And when they get away from it, he explains to her that he doesn't know why or what causes it, but every time the tears close, it charges up the ground and it releases these energy bursts for some reason. And then she's kind of, where's Kate? And he's like, I don't know, but she's here with us, you know, we fell in together, all that type of stuff. But he mentions to her that he's been there before. And we get kind of back and forth about how exactly he got back and whatnot. Now, here's the major thing when it comes to the other question that was surrounding this episode. Well, not this episode, this series, is when everyone sees Shaw, like Kurt Russell version of Shaw, they're always like, this guy was in the Second World War. That would make him like 90 or something. He's saying to May, we don't have time to be here. We have to find her and get home. When he came back from the Hollow Earth, he's in a bed, a medical bed, and these people come. He's in like this tent type thing in a room, not like a clear tent, like just this weird kind of dome tent. And I think it's 3 or 4 people come in hazmat suits. One sounds like she's Nigerian, the other is Japanese. There's another one there, I'm not sure where they were from, and they're asking them like, you know, what does Monarch know? What is Project Hourglass? Blah blah blah. And they're going through, and he's refusing to answer questions. And then you find out that a bit of time has passed while he's been there, and he's refusing to eat. He's gone on hunger strike because he wants Bill Randa, and they won't get him Bill Randa. So a nurse sneaks him in a Christmas cookie, and he's like, you're very kind, it wouldn't be much of a hunger strike if I ate it. But he says she's kind and he's sorry, but he puts a wire around her neck to try and convince people to get him Bill Randa. And then Bill Randa's son comes in, I think it's Horatio or something like that, is there, clean shaven, and saying he can't get you Bill Randa because he's dead, and then pulls out the knife and tells him, you went on that mission 20 years ago, and the date comes up, it's now 1982. So we'll go back to that, exactly what's going on with that. So you see how long Shaw thinks he was down there compared to how he actually, or I should say how long he was actually down there. But the fact that he's 20 years down there, or 20 years has passed since he was down there, that is how he looks like he's only in his late 60s, early 70s, when he's meant to be in his 90s. No time passed for him, basically, while they were down there. So that's how they explain why he looks the way he does when he was meant to be in the World War. And they also then answer the question, of course, of how you got there. Not just in the past, but how May, Kate and him could have survived falling through it. With Kentaro is alive. He woke up in a hospital as well. He's all banged up. His leg is screwed up. He's cuts. Tim is there. He's all banged up. He's on crutches. And Fidugo is there. And Fidugo's like apologised to him, saying, sorry for your loss. And they, as far as they are concerned and are aware, Kate, Shaw and May are dead. And he doesn't want to believe that. He wants to try and find. And Fidugo's just like, look, it's done. You know, your time in our world is done. Thanks for your help, but you're done. You're going home. And they're in Tokyo. And his mother comes and collects him. And she brings him home and tells him like he has to let it all out. We also go back in time to kind of the aftermath of what happened, where Bill and Puckett think that the test was a failure, and Puckett's reading Bill a letter from I think it's from the White House, saying like, in light of the events that happened and the loss of life and stuff, we're pulling the funding from Monarch. And he says there's more in it, but you know yourself. And of course Bill's questioning like, how can we tell what happened if we don't have the funding to investigate it? And Puckett gives a great line when it comes to war. He's saying like, older generations start wars for the younger generations to have to go and fight. And then he even says, it's even harder when you know the younger generation. And he's saying like, because Shaw was his friend too. And it's basically, he's trying to convince Bill, look, you just gotta go and live. And the funny thing is, Kentaro's mother is telling him the same thing. And so did Fidugo, like, you basically have to continue your life. It's the best way to honour them, basically. But then back down in the Hollow Earth, they're still searching. I mean, Shaw explains to May basically what had happened, how he got there before, and explains how they got out. And the way he got out, this is also told in the flashback when young Randa comes in, Kate and Quintero's dad. He comes in to speak with him. And by the way, he went from this hospital directly to that so-called retirement home, where he basically sat there for the next however many years, just taking his pills, watching the TV until the breaking news happened, and it shows you Godzilla fighting the Muto in Hawaii. And that's when he realizes, they're back. But he explains, the young Shaw explains to Kate and Quintero's father what exactly happened down there. So they landed, they pretty much crash landed. They fell through. The Titan that came up appears to be the Titan, or at least a very similar Titan to the one they found in the Philippines. They fell through the tear, crash landed on the surface. One guy died in the crash landing, and then you get this great scene of like the frozen image, but it moves around like 3D almost. You see that some new beastie Titan, it could be that flying bat yoke, was about to kill one of the other guys. The woman that came down with them, it was, other than Shaw, it was two other guys and a woman. She got blasted by the electricity from the electrical bursts. But when the big bat Titan thing flew back through the portal, it sucked Shaw back through. So that's how he survived. So they were there literally an hour, maybe two, and 20 years passed from that time. But then we get to Kate waking up, and Kate comes across a new beastie, and the show ends there, but with something just out of the blue happening. And it was quite surprising and a pretty cool twist as well. You're like, oh, but the Titan she comes across as a weird, cool looking thing as well. It's like a boar, but it's like half tree. It's crazy looking. So that's the episode. I won't say too much more because I don't want to spoil much more, because other stuff does happen. You also, the one thing I will say is you do see how much time is already starting to pass, because as I said, when we first see Quintero, his leg is all smashed up, it's in a cast and stuff, and then the next time we see him, he's fine. There's not even a cut on his face. So you're seeing time is passing, and they're literally in the Hollow Earth only about 15 minutes at this stage. So you're seeing how much time is starting to pass already, which is interesting. But as I said, I won't say anymore because I don't want to spoil this episode, because currently I think this was the best episode, or we've one more to go, and it's going to be one hell of an ending, I think. So with that, I will leave it there for this one. So cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.